Here we go. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average, properly zeroed rifle enjoyer that your mom said that we have at home. Thanks for watching. Guys, today I'm going to teach you how to actually zero your rifle properly, because some of you guys have been zeroing your stuff improperly, or you just aren't zeroed at all and you're just, I gotta wait for my day off work to go zero my rifle, but that rifle's sitting next to you right now and it's unzeroed. If you're the guy with an unzeroed rifle sitting next to you, when I say unzeroed, I mean you didn't follow proper zeroing procedures, go ahead, let me know down in the comments below, and you better just go ahead and knock out whatever exercise you have for the day. Just make it a hard workout, okay? Guys, I'll keep the intro short. Like the video. I enjoy reading your comments down below. I need you to leave a beer emoji, because I know it's the weekend. I know you guys are slacking, or you're just relaxing from your long, hard work, week of work, okay? So leave a beer emoji and leave some sort of comment about how you actually zeroed your rifle prior to this video. I want to know how you zeroed your rifle before seeing this, and if this impacted any change in your zeroing procedures, okay? The Patreon. Huge shout out to the members of my Patreon channel. Thank you. You're exactly the person that bought this video. So thank you. You motivate me every day. If you guys want to become a member of the Patreon, it's less than a cup of coffee a month. It's $5 a month, and it gets you access to a Discord server where you can find buddies to train with and to game with. You can stay up late and talk about why the 36-yard zero is stupid. Okay. So, with all that out of the way, the drink for the video is Starbucks. I grabbed it on the way back from the gym. I know there's going to be some guy in the comments that's like, how can you support Starbucks? Listen, your rifle isn't even zeroed, so how can you be a gun dude if you don't have a freaking zeroed rifle? Got him, Chief. Okay, let's get this show on the road. So, to tell you how to zero your rifle, and I know you guys like the long form format of my video, so I'm not going to rush to failure. I'm going to have a discussion with you. I know for me it's a little weird because I'm just talking to myself, talking to the camera. But for you, on your weekend, you're probably like, Trench, take your time and articulate yourself. Correct. I'm going to do just that. So in order to tell you how to zero your rifle, I have to define what a zero is. A zero is the mechanical process of aligning your point of your sight to your bore, okay? Or your point of aim and your point of impact. It is the mechanical process of aligning. This weapon is clear, okay? It is a basic, you know what, Colt 6920? Someone will correct me. It's the most basic rifle. I took the sling off for the demo, okay? So don't be freaking out. Also, there's no white light because I move stuff around a lot for training, okay? So yeah, there's no white light and there's no sling. So it's for demo purposes only. Okay, also I put a random stock on here because the stock that was on here is being utilized for another rifle. Okay, so the purpose of zeroing is the mechanical process of aligning your point of aim to your point of impact at a certain range, okay? So it's where your optic and your barrel are going to coincide, okay? It's like imagine two lines converging at one point. They will converge at two different points, okay? So there's the spot you're going to zero at, and there's the spot you're going to confirm at. All zeroing is taking your time and getting this thing mechanically zeroed, okay? So that is the purpose of zeroing, or the definition of zeroing. Now, if you're on the firing line, or you're going to the range today, or whenever you're watching this video and you're like, okay, I'm going to the range, I need to learn how to zero my rifle. Zeroing should not be a stressful event. It should be the thing that you take as much time that is needed. Of course, I took the sling off and now I'm holding this rifle. It should be the thing that takes as much time as you need, okay? So take your time zeroing. Don't get out in a hurry. It's not a training process. The training process, if you want to train somebody how to zero, it's how to articulate this class. So if I get a go or no go, you just let me know in the comments below. But you don't, zeroing is not a training task. Does that make sense? Zeroing is the mechanical process of aligning your point of aim and point of impact at a certain distance where they will coincide, okay? Does that make sense? Now, to tell you that, I have to tell you how to properly mount your optic, okay? So if you're using iron sights, I want you to watch this anyway, because you're going to be at the range and you're going to have some dumbass out there that thinks they know how to mount their optic and they're doing it all wrong. First and foremost, don't strip the screws, okay? So I'll just use this rifle as an example. So on your rifle, you most likely have 1913 Picatinny rail. The first thing I want you to do is put your optic down in there, okay? Make sure it's completely flush and flat with the actual rifle. The next thing I want you to do is move it as far forward, okay? So towards the muzzle. This is the muzzle, okay? Move your optic in that Picatinny spot after it's actually in there, okay? Wherever you want to mount it. Move it as far forward in that little slot as you can. The reason is when this rifle recoils, it's going to go back and then it's going to go forward. Obviously, that's a dramatization, if you will. But it's going to go back and forward. So if you don't put your optic as far forward in the actual spot that you want it, it's going to eventually shift. Okay, you're leaving a room for error. Okay, so that is how you're going to mount your optic. If you're mounting something like this ACOG, do not use a tool to tighten it down. It is hand tight. I'm going to say that again. Do not use a tool to tighten your ACOG on. It is supposed to be hand tight. You will ruin the most durable optic in the world. You'll ruin it. Also, I need to send this ACOG in because it's the windage adjustment is jacked up. And this is the first ACOG, civilian ACOG, I've ever seen that is broke. I don't know what's wrong with it. Trijicon, if somehow you ever see this, I really need to send this thing into you. It's the TA31 and it's having serious issues with the windage adjustment. It's freaking weird. Anyway, for your ACOG, make sure the screws on the bottom are actually tight, okay? But when you put it, you use a tool for that, a flathead, right? But when you put it on your weapon system, you need to put it down and as far forward in the little Picatinny slot as you can, and then hand tight, okay? So now everyone knows how to mount their optic. All right, 36 meter zero, question mark. Okay, guys, technically, okay, how do I word this? Just stop, how about that? Just don't, just stop and don't. Okay, good, on the 36, just stop and don't. I just don't have the energy. Some dude that doesn't train is going to be in the comments and like, 36 is the best zeroing range because it's technically, scientifically, where it coincides at 300. Listen, go away. All right, so BDC, what is a BDC? Bullet drop compensator. If everyone go grab their optic, okay, or look down their optic. On your optic, okay, if you have an ACOG, you're going to see a post, right? You're going to see a post and there's going to be no number. And then there's going to be a chevron if you're not a total you-know-what and bought the wrong optic, okay? There's going to be a chevron, and there's going to be one of these, okay? All right? And there's going to be a bunch of lines. These are called stadia lines. There's going to be a 4, a 5, and this one's not going to be labeled, okay? So, look at my optic here. Now, oh yeah, there's a gap. Okay, there's a gap. Yep, boom. Okay, so when you're looking at your optic, the place where there's no, what's wrong with me? Yeah, okay. Going off memory here. So, right here, now we go, the post. The post right here is 300 meter, point of aim, point of impact, okay? So this is, imagine there's a 3. When you're zeroing with an ACOG, if you're zeroing for 300, you would aim with the post, okay? You would not aim with the chevron. You would aim with the tip of the post right here, okay? Right here, aim with the tip of the post. The 100 meter point of aim would be up here at the top of the chevron, and the 200 would be in the notch, right where I put that 2, but like right above the 2, right in the notch of the ACOG. So that is just an example of what a bullet drop compensator is. Now, the way you're going to properly utilize a bullet drop compensator is whatever zero you choose to use, whether it is 25 meters or 50 meters, you're going to zero your rifle at whatever number would coincide with that zero. So when you hear the number 25 meter, I want you to always think 300. A 25 meter zero is a battle sight zero, good for 25 and 300. That means at 25, if I zero at 25, if I were to aim at a 300 meter target immediately after zeroing at 25 at the exact center of a 300 meter target, 300 meters away, it would in theory hit the same spot as your 25 meter zero. Does that make sense? So point of aim and point of impact for a 25, 300 is the same, and for a 50, 200 meter, it would be the same thing, okay? So if you're using a bullet drop compensator, if you're not using iron sights or a red dot, if you're using a bullet drop compensator, you need to decide at the end of this video if you're going to use a 25 or a 50. But regardless, if you choose a 50, then you're going to use a 200 meter stadium line. If you choose a 25, you're going to choose a 300 meter stadium line. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, I'm going to take a drink of coffee and we're going to keep this thing rolling. Grouping. Okay. Now, I'm going to teach you the proper way to zero. And I know how the YouTube comment section works now. I've become a Rhodes Scholar, okay? So, I know there's going to be some dumbass down there saying that 5 rounds is too many rounds and you can't afford it. Well, let me tell you something, high speed. Go ahead and cut corners on the mechanical process of zeroing your rifle, and guess what? Your rifle will be zeroed improperly. Good to go? So, grouping. The way you group is you're going to shoot a 5-round group. You're not going to go observe the target at all, okay? Well, you can if you want, but you're not going to make any adjustments. So you're going to shoot a 5-round group, okay? You're going to place the weapon on safe. You're going to get up, take a drink of water, wait a minute, let your eyes, make sure you're eating blackberries and blueberries so that way your eyes are healthy and can actually shoot all day, okay? And then you're going to get back down behind the weapon. You're going to shoot your second 5-round group. No adjustments can be made until you are grouped. Grouping is the process of ensuring the shooters actually using their fundamentals properly, such as pre-shot, shot, follow-through. Some of you guys thought I was going to say breathing, trigger squeeze, body position. Guess what? All that matters is sights and trigger. I'm going to say that part again. All that matters is sights and trigger. So pre-shot, shot, and follow-through. That means you could be upside down and backwards, shooting on your back, overhead, and as long as the sights are aligned properly and on the target where you want to hit, and the trigger is pulled properly without jerking the dang trigger, you're going to hit what you want to hit. Okay? So, pre-shot, shot, and follow-through. So what that means for grouping, you cannot begin your zeroing process until you shoot 2 5-round groups, and at least 8 out of 10 rounds have to be in a 6-centimeter circle at 25 meters. Most of what I'm going to tell you today is just going to be for 25 because it's the easiest and quickest way to articulate. So for your first 2 5-round groups, okay, you should be in the prone supported firing position. You must have 8 out of 10 rounds in a 6-centimeter circle. It will be this big circle, okay, on these old U.S. Army zero targets. It would be this circle right here, okay? Hopefully you guys can see that. I will show it to you. See the circle? You must have 8 out of 10 rounds in 2 consecutive groups to begin your actual zero process. Now, that doesn't mean if you can't group, then you can't zero, okay? And if you can't group, that means you can't shoot. Some of you guys think you're Chris Kyle and you're not. Okay, so grouping. The reason why in a 6-centimeter circle is because most of these carbines that you're most likely using are 2 to 4 MOA guns, okay? Someone's gonna be like, mine's a 1.5. Okay, get some training. How about you go shoot a mag through it, then see what group you got. Okay, so that is grouping. So 2 consecutive groups, 8 out of 10 in a 6-centimeter circle. After you shoot those first 2 5-round groups, then you can move on to actually zeroing, okay? The third group should be on the target. The way you would make adjustments, I'll just write it down. If you're using iron sights, your rear sight aperture is 0.75 MOA adjustments and 1.75 for your front sight post. If you're using something like an ACOG, or you're gonna have to know what your adjustments are for your actual rifle. Obviously, you need to actually know that. But most other ones are 0.5 MOA. So I'll say that again. Your rear sight aperture, if you're using iron sights, is a 0.75 MOA adjustment, and your front sight post is 1.75. If you're using most modern optics, it will be a 0.5 MOA adjustment. If you read your zero target, or if you don't have a zero target, you can simply pull out your phone has a freaking ruler on your phone, and you need to make a 6-centimeter circle, okay? And you need to put a little tiny dot or a little tiny thing to aim at 25. If you read your zero target, okay, it literally will tell you every single one of these boxes is 1 MOA. Okay, so if I have a 2 to 4 MOA gun, that means we should be what? You do the math, but that is how you will actually determine your adjustments on the zero target. Okay, the way you will actually make adjustments is you will write LRUD on the target, left, right, up, down, LRUD. Okay, so after you fire your first two grouping 5-round groups, their third, if you're actually grouped, your third shot group, you will write LRUD, or left, right, up, down, and then you will make your first adjustment based on the MOA math that I told you just now, okay? So every one of these boxes is 1 MOA, so based on your reticle, that's how you'll make that adjustment. In state, you want to end up, obviously all within a 6 centimeter circle, but you want to end up in the lower third, okay, just below center mass. And I'm going to explain why in a second, but you want to end up in the lower third, okay, somewhere down here of your little zero guy. And I'll explain what a battle sight or a bullet battle sight zero is in a second, okay? All right. Another key consideration, your barrel. Barrels, if you don't have doesn't matter. If I rest this barrel, okay, on something, it's going to flex the barrel. That means when I'm not shooting with the barrel supported, it's going to have different point of aim, point of impact. It's going to affect the point of impact. That is called barrel harmonics, okay? So if you are resting your barrel on something, it's going to inadvertently impact the point of aim or the point of impact. Okay, your point of aim will be the same, but your point of impact will shift. So when you're zeroing, you need to ensure your barrel is not resting on anything. And you also want to ensure you're not hammering down on your freaking weapon, because that's going to affect the barrel harmonics and it's going to cause a point of impact shift. So the more you know. So don't rest your barrel on anything. When you try to place this, like your handguard, on a sandbag, push the weapon system all the way forward so the magazine well is all the way against the sandbag or whatever support you're using, and then gently just place your non-firing hand for zeroing. Place your non-firing hand on top of the gun. Okay, just place it on top of the gun, but don't jerk down on it, right? Because it's going to affect the barrel harmonics. The more you know. Okay, so that is the barrel key considerations. I want to talk about calling shots. So when you're shooting, obviously your pre-shot, your shot, and your follow-through, you have to develop the ability to call your shots. That means if you have a dirty shot, you can tell. If you have like a shooter and a spotter, you can tell I'm dirty shot or dirty round. That means that round, I pulled that round. But if you don't have the ability to call your shots, that means you need to develop more as a shooter. That means you're still very new and you need to grow as a shooter. Okay, I'll just put it that way. So calling shots, that means if I am shooting a 5-round group for zeroing and I feel like one's off, I need to be able to call where the impact is. So when I walk down range to see my target, I should already know I have one flyer top right. Does that make sense? So you have to develop the ability to call your shots. We already talked about optic mounting. MOA. I misspoke in one of my previous videos. MOA is an angular unit of measurement. So a 3-inch group at 300 meters would be 1 MOA. A 2-inch group at 200 meters would be 1 MOA. Does that make sense? So a 6-inch group at 300 meters would be 2 MOA. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to everybody. MOA math, you need to look it up, you need to understand it. Okay, now that I've taught you about why you do 5-round groups, okay, because of flyers, and to actually be able to assess that if the optic is mounted properly and if the shooter is actually using proper fundamentals, proper trigger squeeze, sight alignment, sight picture, okay, actually doing what they're supposed to be doing and taking their time and grouping the rifle. Now that you understand all the basics, okay, I need to go through the decision-making process of should I use a 25 or a 50 meter zero, okay? Before I tell you that, I need to explain to you the way this works. So, also, unzeroed rifles are useless. So if your rifle sitting next to you is unzeroed, it's useless. You need to get to the range and actually zero that rifle tomorrow or today, depending on whatever time you're watching this video. Okay, this is my high-speed drawing representation of a rifle. As you can see, it looks like it's canted up almost like an artillery piece. Well, if you didn't know, this straight line, this hard line, is your line of sight. That's where you're looking through your optic or your sighting system. But to the naked eye, you will not be able to see this, but the barrel is ever so slightly elevated off the marching surface. That is how you will get this arching effect. Because you got to think, if the barrel wasn't, if this is my barrel and I was shooting straight, the bullet would just drop off quicker. So we're fighting gravity. So the way, I guess I could, so if this is our barrel, it's going to mess up my stuff. Man, I need a bigger whiteboard. I guess I'll show you guys what I didn't want to show you. LPVOs suck. Yeah, I'll do a video on it eventually, but I feel like this video is more important. But if you want the LPVOs suck video, let me know in the comments below. If this is your barrel, okay, and you don't adjust, if you don't use a battle sight 0, okay, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do today, and you're uninitiated, if you were to 0 and at 5 meters, that bullet would drop off very quickly because it's not we're trying to use the delivery system to effectively use the bullet at range. So if we were to shoot dead on, it would just drop off quicker. Does that make sense? So this is what would happen if we don't elevate the barrel. So the way that works is we have to decide what distance we're going to 0 at. So for this up here, this little target is at 300, and this target right here is at 25. So as you can see, our line of sight is supposed to be dead center on our 300 meter target. It's also going to be the same point of aim for 25. Does that make sense? So for whatever distance you 0 at, if you 0 at 25, it will be the same point of aim at the actual corresponding distance for that 0. So for 25, it would be at 300, I'll aim directly the same, okay? As you can see, the bullet is traveling like a football or a water hose because we're fighting gravity, so we're elevating with our 0. That'll happen naturally, okay? But it's not to the naked eye, because if I show you my rifle right now, you cannot tell that my barrel is elevated or that my sights are looking straight, but the barrel is technically barely elevated for the delivery system of that bullet to 300. Does that make sense? Using a battle sight 0. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see it with the naked eye because we're talking tiny, minute adjustments, but just know the more you know, and that is why you're going to miss at distance because you won't be using your holds properly, okay? So now that you understand line of sight, line of bore, and this is your max ordinate, the highest point that the bullet will travel, okay? If you're shooting at 300 with a 25 meter 0, it's just the highest point that the bullet will travel. Okay, so for a 25 meter 0, this is what your target will look like if you're doing everything properly and you're aiming where it says 300. So you see where it says 300 on this green Ivan? So if you aim where it says 300 on every target, but if you were aiming here at 200 meters, you would be hitting high because it would be like right here. Does that make sense? Okay, that is why if I have a green Ivan what am I doing? If I have a green Ivan right here, okay, I would be hitting, this is obviously a dramatization, at 150 meters. I might miss, because look, I might miss him over the shoulders if I was using my 300 meter point of aim, which is just dead center, okay? So for a 300 meter or 25 meter 0, if I aim dead center for every single target between 25 and 300, this is where you would hit. So 300, 25, 50, 100, and 200. The reason I'm showing you that is because with a 25 meter 0, it is going to be accurate and effective out to 500 meters. However, you're going to need to aim at the belt. Okay? You need to aim at the gut or the belt. A lot of times the old saying was nuts and guts, okay? But you're going to aim at the belt line. Because if I aim at the belt line, if you just shift all this down, I'm killing him at any distance, just aiming at the gut. So if anyone is ever confused, the easiest way to get them to hit using a battle sight 0, or if they don't want to memorize their holds, just tell them, regardless of where the target comes up, okay, just aim at the gut if you're shooting at range. Just aim at the gut with a 25 meter or aim at the belt buckle, and just imagine all these numbers shifted down and you're hitting anywhere in here. Instead of if you're aiming at the heart, yeah, you would hit them in the heart for 325, but it would shift up based on if the target was at 200. Yeah, you might hit them in the head, or most likely what's going to happen, because they're moving, you're moving, your craziness is going on, you're probably going to shoot over the shoulder, okay? So that is why for a 25 meter 0, we aim at the gut or the belt. I prefer the 25 meter zero. Okay, that is what I use. 25 meter zero is going to be used if you expect farther engagements or a wide range from short to far. Does that make sense? So you're not expecting an urban fight all the time. You might have to make a 500 or 400 meter shot. That is where a 25 meter zero is really going to shine. Obviously, you want to aim at the gut for all the reasons I just explained. Okay, 50 meter zero. If I were to aim right here, that's what this is articulating, okay? So if I were to aim dead center, obviously my 50 and 200, at 50 and 200 meters, I would hit dead center. But at 100, it would hit slightly high. At 25, it would hit just slightly low, barely low. And 300 is the biggest issue, okay? So guys that say, I'm just gonna do a 50-200, that's fine. You're gonna be really, 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 really accurate and effective just holding dead center from 0 to 200 meters, okay? But at 300 and on, you're gonna start to have some serious problems. And you can see why. See how low 300 would be hitting? If I was aiming dead center, if this target was at 300 meters, and I was aiming dead center, the bullet would hit down here in the crotch. That is not good, okay? So that is why you have to know your holes. So for an urban zero, if you're going to Fallujah tomorrow in Minecraft, okay, you might want a 50 meter zero because you could just snap to target and fire without thinking about any zero at all. You zeroed at 50, you confirmed at 200, and you just snap and fire. It doesn't matter. You don't have to worry about any, oh, I got to hold on the gut, I got to hold here. No. Basically, within this, if they're anywhere from 25 meters to 200 meters with a 50 to 200 meter zero, snap to target, fire, he's dead. You see what I'm saying? But with a 25 meter zero at distance, you're thinking gut, fire, gut, fire, gut, fire. When you're aiming at the gut, just because you're aiming at the gut, remember, you're going to hit in this bracket. So you have to decide, are my engagements going to be possibly farther out? Do I need the 25 meter zero for a farther engagement? Because it's really, really easy with a 25 meter zero to be able to, especially with an ACOG, they're freaking awesome, to be able to actually hit at range with a 25. Or am I like, hey, I'm invading someone's village in Minecraft, so I'm just going to go with a 50 meter zero, so that way I can have quick target acquisition and fire regardless of where I aim on the target. Most likely I'm going to still kill him. Does that make sense? Okay, so in summary, guys, regardless of which zero you choose, okay, I'm going to actually teach you one more thing. This is your, I'll draw it over here so you guys can see it better. This is your optic adjustment knob. So you can't see it, it's like inside. It's like a clock that's inside the actual weapon. So every time you make an adjustment, okay, there's these little, you know, like the little clicky thing, when you're making an adjustment with on your windage or elevation, that clicky noise, what that's doing is setting it. Oh, I guess I should use a different color. So what that's doing is setting your adjustment. Maybe you set it in here. Okay, I got to go 3 right. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. The reason why I want to show you this is sometimes with some optics, it will get stuck on top, on the outside, not setting in all the way, not like setting into place properly. So let's say you're using an ACOG and your adjustment for your windage is 3 right. What I want you to do is go 5 right, 2 left. And then I want you to take your Gerber and lightly tap it. What that is going to do is set your adjustment properly, so it's not sitting up on these high parts, okay? Because sometimes with a lot of optics, if you just do, say your adjustment is 2 right, windage adjustment 2 right. Okay, say I start right here. Say this is where I start. I go 1, 2, but for some reason it stops on the high area of the adjustment and doesn't properly set for the actual adjustment. Well, if the adjustment was 2 right, had I gone 1, 2, 3, 4, back 2, 1, 2, right? And then tapped it, with that tapping and actually going past it and back to your actual zero, that's going to set it in the area you actually want it, okay? Hope I articulated that properly, but if you're confused, listen, if your adjustment is 5 right, okay, I'm 5 right, I need to make an adjustment 5 right for my zero, don't just go 5 right, go 7 right, 2 left, and then tap it with your Gerber lightly. That will set your actual adjustment properly so it doesn't click to one side or the other and mess up your zero, okay? A lot of guys don't know that, so I wanted to articulate that. Okay, guys, in summary, regardless of what zero you choose, you need to confirm it at range. So if I zero at 25, I need to confirm it at 300. Your rifle is not zeroed until you have properly confirmed it at range, okay? I don't know how many guys say, my rifle is zeroed. Oh, what's your zero? Well, I zeroed at 25. Yeah, and you confirmed it, right, at range? I don't have a range in my area. That sounds like a you problem. So if your issue is I don't have a range in my area, you need to schedule a trip, right, to a range that has terrain that you can actually zero properly and confirm. Bring all your rifles or whatever you got going on. Make it a 0 day. Make sure all your stuff's mounted properly before you go out, and make sure you actually confirm at range. Because if you don't confirm at range, your rifle is not zeroed. Because at range, yeah, 25 meter zero is really good. It's really good, or 50 or whatever zero you choose. It's good to get on. It's good to get good or close enough, but you will have to make minute adjustments when you actually shoot targets at range. So just saying I zeroed at 50 and it's zeroed. No, did you confirm at 200? Because when you confirm at 200, you're going to have a slight impact shift, okay? So in summary, guys, unzeroed rifles are useless. If the rifle sitting next to you right now isn't zeroed, you need to get to the freaking range and actually zero your carbine, okay? An unzeroed rifle is, I don't know, it's like a weight. It's like a squat rack that's been set up for you, but you never actually did the squats, okay? It's useless. It's just a toy, right? So you actually have to use the squat rack. You actually have to do the squats to failure, right? That's why you set the safety bars. So an unzeroed rifle is useless, okay? If this helped you guys, let me know. If this video, if you're like, I've been zeroing wrong forever, I've just been firing one round and going down range and checking it, well, that's stupid. But if this video helped, let me know in the comments, guys. Leave a comment. Consider becoming a member of the Patreon. It's only $5 a month and gets you access to a Discord server where you can come hang out with the boys, okay? Stay up late, talk about why 36 meter zeros are stupid. All right, guys. Red dots and iron sights and ACOGs are king. LPVOs suck. If you want that video, let me know. And until next time, this is going to be Trench Grenade. Oh, obviously, you got to confirm with whatever. If you are using an LPVO, if you zero at 1x, you have to confirm at 5 or 6 to make sure your point of aim and point of impact didn't shift. So if you're using a stupid LPVO, make sure after you zero at 1 power, obviously this isn't an LPVO, after you zero at 1 power, you switch it to the max magnification and the medium magnification to make sure your point of aim and point of impact didn't shift on your crappy $500, $300 Vortex Strike Eagle that you got on sale. LPVOs suck, okay? All right, guys, if you enjoy this content, let me know. Hopefully you start zeroing your rifles properly. And until next time, this is going to be Trench Grenade, your average, properly zeroed rifle enjoyer, signing out. Cheers.